fun of them. Yeah. But like she said, last year I visited the Texas-Mexico border because I needed to see for myself what was going on. I needed to see with my own eyes, and I joined a group of other Christian women who went to detention facilities and the processing centers into Mexico to a Catholic Charities house that served people who had been deported and people who were about to cross. We visited with Sister Norma Pimentel, who, if you've heard of her, she is a powerhouse champion and servant of immigrant families in the Rio Grande Valley. She told us how she had visited children who had just been separated from their families. She had convinced a border guard to let her into the cages with them, and as they pressed against her and cried for their parents and for comfort and for hugs, the voice of one little boy rose above the rest, and he said, "Sácame de aquí, no puedo respirar," which means, "Get me out of here, I cannot breathe." And we were able to visit that same processing center. It's the Ursula Processing Center in McAllen, Texas, which was ground zero for a lot of these separations last year. And after we had the propaganda video and tour by the CBP, they took us into a different building. And as our eyes adjusted from the Texas sunlight, we saw what we had seen on TV, which was children and people literally in cages, on the floor, sleeping on cement, covered with mylar foil blankets. A 10-month-old baby in a pack and play that was being watched over by a guard with a gun. And as they gave us the tour of the facility, it felt like we were touring some sort of zoo. And I was ashamed, and I looked away. And there was something in me that switched that said, "Look at them. Look at them." And I wanted to avoid the faces of the people on the other side of that fence, but all I could give in that moment was to make eye contact, to see them, to let them know that they had not been forgotten. We went to an ICE detention facility where people waited to be deported or to have their asylum case heard. And as we walked down the hallway, the faces of adults pressed against the glass, and we had that choice again. Look at them. Look them in the eye and bear witness to their suffering. Often when we come from a place of privilege, the first question that we ask is, what can we do? But I think that's a misappropriated question. I think the first question that we need to ask is, can we see? Can we see what these people are going through? Can we see what they endure at the border right now? There's power in that. There's power to not look away. There's power to look them in the eye and to sit in our discomfort, to recognize their human dignity, their humanity, regardless of where they were born, or what their status is, or what language they speak. I believe that the heart cannot grieve what the eyes cannot see. And our eyes have to see. We have to see the images of the overcrowded cells. We have to see the images of the children clutching their parents' legs as they are being frisked by Border Patrol. We have to see the image of Oscar and Angie as they lay face down in that river because they wanted nothing more than to live a life free from fear. We bear witness to them, and we will testify to their stories. We hear a lot these days about the rule of law. And when we talk about a court system, verdicts are made and convictions are made on the power of a witness. And that's what we are doing. We are witnesses that are testifying to what we see. We are here to testify that we see injustice, we see cruelty, we see suffering, and like the Old Testament prophets, we will shout in the wilderness until somebody hears us. We are modern day prophets whose voice cries in the wilderness. We speak truth to power, and that can be a lonely journey. But tonight, we are not alone. Tonight, there are people across our state and across this country and across our entire globe that are standing up to say, I will not look away. We will not look away. We see you. And not on our watch.
Not on our watch.
Tonight is called Lights Out for Liberty. And I don't know about you, but often it feels like Lady Liberty's own lamp has been snuffed out. That the voices that cry fear and xenophobia, isolationism, nationalism, that those drown out her voice. But I want to share with you a poem that maybe some of you have heard. It's been going around on Facebook. It's by Brad Greer, and I'm going to end with this. That rather than saying, come the legal way, they deserved it, or we can't take any more, we should say, if you feel homeless and hopeless, come join us. And we will give you your rights and a place to spend the night. It's time to stop letting our fear determine the course of their life. And let's relight the candle on Liberty Island. And say it so loud that they hear us in Syria and Honduras and Eritrea and Burundi and Libya and Lebanon and the Congo and Cuba. Give us your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to be free, the wretched refuse of your teeming shore. Send these, the homeless, tempest-tossed, to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden door. The world deserves more, and that's what the Statue of Liberty is for. So if we're deporting, let's pull her out of port and send her back to France. But as long as she's still standing, we need to honor her demands. Thank you.